Good day, everyone, and welcome to Different Stages Radio. I'm your host, JJ, broadcasting in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And my guest today, you know him as a bassist and vocalist for John Sykes, Thin Lizzy, Whitesnake, The Dead Daisies, and for the supergroup Iconic, who are about to release their sophomore album, 2, on July the 31st on Frontiers Music. Please welcome my guest, Marco Mendoza. What's going on?
Hey, JJ, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, man. Hey, wow, I forget.
You forget.
I, I do. I take it out with. This is a privilege to be in our business, period. And I do tend to forget that stuff, but I'm a little impressed, and also at the same time, grateful to have all those opportunities to hang out with all those cats, work on all this beautiful project music, the talented people I get to work with and hang out with, and yeah, it's I'm pretty beside myself, if I can say it any other way. It's very cool, and I'm still here.
And I feel that you're a fan first at heart. Like that's where it all comes from. Is it just it comes out of the
Absolutely,
pores. You're just a fan at heart.
absolutely, and I think a lot of my colleagues, a lot of the cats that have had, have had great careers, have been very lucky and privileged to reach certain heights in their career. I think we have that. That's a common denominator. We're all fans of music. That's where it starts. That's where the flame, comes from there. But the spark is that thing. For me, it was Abbey Road, the Beatles. My father got it for me, and my brother, for Christmas, and that was Pandora's box, man. And here you are, so many years later. It just never ends. It's beautiful. Climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. I get blown away at the calls that I get without sounding pretentious. I'm like, really? Okay, cool. But it's all good, JJ. I'm grateful to be here. And then also, emphasis on cats like you that take interest, and you guys are doing documenting all the stuff that's so important to bring it out there and let the fans know what's going on. It's yeah, it's a very symbiotic relationship that we have here. It's very important. So thank you for your work.
Well, thank you as well. And that's why I feel it goes back to being a fan of music. And I believe that that's how Iconic came together. And maybe for those who weren't on board with the first Iconic and don't know, can you fill people in as I know, but can you fill people in on the five of you and how you got together? Like this is a big group.
It's a big group. Well, gosh, I mean, well, you got Michael Sweet, singing and playing his heart out, as talented as he is, and he's an amazing person. But musicianship is just talent by the tons. And then you have Joe Hoekstra, who's a brilliant guitar player of our time. He's one of those cats that's up there, with all the other cats that I've gotten to work with. And also a great cat, great person, just a great human being. This is what we have in common, I gotta say. When we first got together to shoot the videos for that first album, it was like we knew each other. There was a lot of mutual respect. There was a lot of camaraderie. It was like we knew each other, like we had, because we probably know each other. We know, again, we're fans of music, and we got along so well. So I think that's what began, it kind of planted the seed for the second album. But well, you got, Michael Sweet, you got Joe Hoekstra, you got Tommy Aldridge. Um, I'm hanging in there, with Tommy, and Tommy, the quintessential drummer of our time, period. There's no other way of saying that. And it's just, and Nathan James, who kills with his vocal ability, and also a great guy. We got along really, really well. And to be honest, JJ, I was always hoping, and I still am, in the back of my mind, back here in the radar somewhere, I'm hoping that one of these days we get to take it out on the road live, because I know it's going to be, if it happens and when it happens, and I still believe that it could happen, it's gonna blow people's minds, man. So that's what happened. I got called in. To be honest, I do a lot of work. I do a lot of session work, and I got called in by Mario and Serafino, which are the owners of Frontiers, and I have a great relationship with those cats. Look at what they've created, they've created an empire, and that's because of hard work. They are passionate about what they do. They believe in what they're doing. They work 24/7, man, for years and years and years. They built a pretty amazing label there in what they're doing. So I got a call from them, and then Mario called me back, and they were saying, we got this project. We don't have a bass player, and we're thinking, that may possibly you might be interested. And I said, I'm always interested, man. I'm always interested in anything cool. Why not? Send me the music, please. And it's never failed me. Every time they call, it's always some great stuff. It's always great projects with great talent, great names. And this was no exception. When I got it, I'm going, wow. Then Alessandro Del Vecchio was producing. He sent me more tracks, and I'm going, and he said, Marco, it'd be lovely, man, if you could be part of this, if you could participate, collaborate and all that. And I'm like, yes, I'm in. Then shortly after, they called me and says, we would love for you to recommend a drummer. I mean, everybody. You've been around the block a few times. And, without sounding pretentious, again, I've been around and I have some numbers. And that the music just reminded me of my relationship with Whitesnake and David Coverdale and Tommy Aldridge and Doug Aldridge and Rhett Beach and Timothy Drury. The first guy on my radar was Tommy Aldridge. So I said, I've got a few ideas. Let me see what I can do. And within a week, I talked to Tommy, and he was really interested, and he heard some tracks, and he said, "Yeah, let's do this." So that's how it happened. Pretty generic. It's people calling each other and inviting each other for certain things. It's like inviting somebody for lunch. Hey, like, you want to meet for dinner? Hey, you want to do a record? It sounds trivial, but it's how it is. And it was a complete joy, man. The music was amazing. Obviously, Michael singing amazing and playing amazing. Joel, you got two guitar players that are just on fire, and Tommy on the drums, pile driving. And Tommy's the kind of drummer where every time I work with him, he's like, I can't go wrong. Whatever I play sounds great because he's driving. I'm the bass player that will tell you, bro, always, no denying, and first on the list, the drummer. The drummer's the driver. He dictates the tempos, he dictates the swing, he dictates the dynamics, the colors, the energy, and then, a bass player that understands that, then you do that, And I've learned to do that with Tommy so easily because I know him really well. His playing that I love so much. And it's just on fire, man. So we had a great time. And before you know it, the album was done. We sent it in and it got some amazing reviews. Of course, with names like that and the music, no denying, it was great. And then a few years went on. I think a few things happened within the label, production-wise and all that. But so we ended up doing, it took a little longer, 2, 3, 4 years maybe. I don't know. I don't keep track.
Yeah.
But last year I found myself working on this second album, and again it was amazing. It was really, really, really cool, man. And so really proud to be part of this project, man. Hopefully we can bring it out live sometime soon.
Maybe Monster Rock, maybe next year, perhaps. Maybe with all you on the boat. Maybe something might happen there.
You know, hopefully, Serafino and Mario, they're listening, and Aldo, who produced the album, he did a brilliant job. I got to know him, and Aldo Nobile, we got to hang out in just outside of Milano, in his studio, and we had a great time. He's another great cat, talented, and I think Alessandro moved on, Del Vecchio, but. Yeah, this is something I will always hope and dream for because, when when you've had experiences, you've been around the block, you've been lucky enough, like I have, to work with some of the best cats on the planet, the best singers, the best guitar players, drummers, the whole thing. And when you have that formula on an album and you get together and the vibe is just so strong, I'm going, wow, if this could just do one show, it's gonna fly, man, so hard. So you keep hoping. But you can't always get what you want.
True, true, true. Now, with the first album, though, you said you were pretty much presented by Frontiers with the music, and if you wanted to be a part of this, and of course you
Yes.
signed on board. Was that
Yeah.
similar with the second record? So, like, because I'm curious if you, just as an artist, and with the rest of the musicians, do you have a chance to contribute much for ideas in that sense, or is it all kind of laid up for you?
I think it was laid out by the time they got in touch with me. I believe it started with Michael, Nathan, James, and Joe. I believe that was the witch's brew, if you will. They were cooking the songs and sending stuff, ideas to back and forth to each other. So, and then Alessandro Del Vecchio obviously producing and guiding the whole thing. By the time I got involved in Tommy, the music was written. It was already done. Having said that, especially with somebody like Tommy Aldridge, man, nobody can write those drum parts. That's just how it is. And I can honestly say there's a lot of cats out there that are trying to sound and look like Tommy, and there's one Tommy Aldridge. So his collaboration and his what he brought on is huge, and I just step on his foot and do my little thing, and I think we work really well. Tommy and I have something going on. We're brothers. I love him to death. I respect the hell out of him as a human being. He's a dear, dear friend, and I always try to bring him in to projects when the opportunity presents itself. And this particular time it did, but the music was written, you know. And then they hire somebody like me and Tommy to say, well, okay, the canvas is this. Take your brushes, take your paint, and do your thing, you know. And that's what you got. You got the end product, and everybody was really happy. And the proof is in the pudding, right? It's what it is. But it starts with the songwriting. It's about the songs. I will always say that too, you know. So no, the songwriting was done. The second project started, I believe, the same way. I didn't even know there was going to be a second album, to be honest.
Okay.
I've been a little busy bee, to be honest. I'm like all over the place. But I got the call at the end of 24, maybe, the beginning of 25, that there was something cooking and would I want to participate? I said, yes, absolutely. I had such a great time and the music was so killer. Yes, absolutely. Sign me up. And Tommy agreed too. So again, 90% of the writing was done. We put our salt and pepper, our spice in there as a rhythm section, and I couldn't be in better company. Tommy Aldridge, man. What can I tell you?
And are you able to track much together? Or is that all done remotely on your own, or?
Unfortunately, and this is happening more and more and more. The way the digital world just kind of took over, and for a lot of reasons. I was traveling so much. I was that they were able to accommodate me and find me in to two, three, four different studios all over the place. Because I would have a day off here, 2 days off there, da, 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 da. And I love that because my other work can continue without interruption, right? But having said that too, man, if I'm given the opportunity to go into the studio and track together, even just the rhythm tracks with one guitar, drums, that's my favorite because you come from another place. You tap into the energy that's going on simultaneously with your other players, and chances are, your brushes, your strokes would be different, the colors would be different, and And then when you have a singer like Nathan, you got to take that into consideration too. Support the vocalist, support the soloist, Michael playing Burnin' and Joel, support that. But it seems to work. I think you develop a skill to kind of listen to the song. You know your place, you know where you can play, you know where you can settle down and create the groove in the pocket. And then there's little spaces where you can fly a little bit. And when you have producers that understand that, we sketch the song. I always try to write charts. I always try to write charts, not to read, but just to memorize. And I go in and we do the first pass practice, and then second pass, taking a little more chances here and there, flourishing a little bit more, creating interesting lines within the song. And then the third one is like free for all, go for it, do whatever. And it always ends up being like the second take, the first or the second take for some reason. Don't ask me why. It's just like maybe because you're not in your head, you're not thinking. It's all instinct, and you know your parts, you know the chord changes, you know the lines, and you're just playing the song. A lot of cool things happen in the recording process, but that's one of them. I've done albums in 2, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes. I really challenge myself to do that. I love it. But given the choice, I would go into, when I do my stuff, my solo albums, I try to create that. Try to have the drummer in the room, a guitar player playing the rhythm parts, the arrangements, and myself. And if I'm singing, I try to sing live to create a vibe. And that's what we keep most of the time. The last two albums, that's what happened, with Soren Anderson. It was very cool. We did all the initial writing on Pro Tools. It's a great tool to have, Pro Tools, initial writing, the arranging, the whole thing. And then the drummer comes in and you play guitar, bass, and drums with a scratch vocal on it. And it's really cool when that happens. You can create some beautiful stuff.
And with vocals, you got Michael Sweet, of course, and Nathan James, but a lot of people, Michael Sweet, in case people don't know from Striper, Mike,
Yeah,
well, Michael's gonna be the one singing, but it's Nathan's the main vocalist, even though
yeah.
Michael's still contributing vocals. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about his guitar playing because I think he's often overlooked as a guitar player, Michael Sweet. Can you talk about his playing a little bit?
Yeah, I think what it is that he's the front man for Striper, and all those cats are amazing players as well. And the focus always comes into the vocals and the songwriting and the front man and all that. And then you have the other cats playing, burning on his side. I think that's what it is. Say, I'll use Paul McCartney as an example. As a bass player, for me, he's like the quintessential bass player, but nobody pays attention. It's like, why? Because he's singing, he's writing the songs. I don't know if that's a good
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
example, but that's what it is. But Michael, there's nothing he can't play. He's amazing, man. But the focus went to another place, and they took him there and they kept him there. The fans are funny sometimes. You can't predict what they're going to think and what they're going to do with you. But if you're lucky enough to have a lot of fans, their response, it doesn't matter as long as they appreciate what you're doing. But also, I will say, Michael, his main focus, the little bit that I've got to spend with him, is the writing. That's his thing. But yeah, he's an amazing. There's no reason why he couldn't get into any situation as a guitar player and fly, man, and kill it. None. So, but obviously he's busy with Striper, and he's dedicated to his spiritual walk, which I commend him, and I love him for that. I respect him a lot. It takes a lot of courage in our business to do that. So, wow, my hat's off to him, and that walk is not an easy walk, but he's completely devoted and committed, and, you know, So yeah, Striper, the lead singer, guitar player, but that's what it is, you know. On the other hand, I'll turn it around. I've heard Joe Hoekstra sing, and he can sing. Like he can really sing. He could front any band. Does he want to? Maybe not. But that he can, he can. So now his guitar playing is so outside that that's what they people know him as. You know, the amazing guitar player that he is. And that's what it is, you know. It's what it is. I've been trying to get into the the songwriting thing recently, and it's been tough, you know. But I'm doing it. I'm doing a lot of shows, my solo stuff, and I'm getting on the radar a little bit, and that's cool. But the bottom line, JJ, is I'm talking a lot, and I know you asked me a question, and I went all over the place.
Okay.
But the bottom line is when you get to do what you love doing, for me, I just do it with all the love, all the passion, all the dedication I can, and I stay away from the results, you know. Now, it goes out there, and then the public will do whatever they want to do. The fans, oh, it's this, you know, you put it in this box, it's not that, it's this, you know, there's no control over that. So as long as you keep selling tickets and people come to your shows and they're downloading your music and there's interest and love and passion behind it, it's what it is, you know. But Michael, absolutely amazing guitar player. That's the short answer, right?
Now
Excuse me.
bring up the first two singles from the album though, Cry No More, and then the most recent one, Take Me to the Place. But Cry No More, the opening cut on Iconic 2, once again out
Yeah,
July the 31st on Frontiers Music. Now I wanted to dive into
yeah.
the two other tracks that really kind of jumped out at me, because it, again, solid album throughout, but nothing left for me. Can you talk a little bit about that song? Because I thought all of a sudden that just added a nice color and different element to the album.
Yeah, can I be really honest right now? I just did another album. It
Yep.
sounds terrible. I did another album, just finished yesterday,
Hmm.
and I heard the master when it first came out, and I was blown away at the results, the quality of the writing, the songs, the singing, the playing. It's not fresh in my head.
That's fair.
You know, had I known that, so all I can say is every track when I did listen top to bottom, it was like there's some great stuff there, man. There's no fillers, you know what they call fillers. There's no B-sides. They're all amazing songs and different colors, different approaches. Uh, but the common denominator there is you have, you know, the boys singing, and Nathan's carrying more of the weight there. I love his voice. I love Michael's voice. There's nothing Michael can't sing either. But Nathan's got a little special something there too that we all agree on. But I don't have it fresh in my head, and I'm
That's
just
fair.
being honest.
That's fair. Yeah.
But every song was great. This album, huh?
All good. Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yep.
but this is something that happens when you're as busy as I am. I think this was finished last summer, I believe.
Oh,
I want to say I've done 8 or 10 albums since then, and including my stuff, and I don't know how many tours and travel and all that. So I've got a lot of music, man, a
well,
lot of
let's
music.
talk,
And
let's talk about your stuff.
yeah, yeah.
What's going on in
Um,
Marco Mendoza's solo land?
well, I've been excuse me. I've been paying attention to my stuff. I got involved with this band, the Dead Daisies, which was an amazing project and still is. And we had a little bit of a hiatus. What happened? John Karabi decided to take a break. 19. By then, I had put out a recent album, which was Viva La Rock, but I already had 2 albums, Live for Tomorrow and Casa Mendoza, which were not supported.
There you go.
My bad. There you go. Oh, good one, bro. My bad, because I was busy touring with everybody else. You know, I could drop some names. Uh, and that's what it was. But Viva La Rock, the opportunity presented itself. It came out in 18 February. of 18, and the Dead Daisies album came out in April. So there was like a 2-3 month, and obviously when the Dead Daisies album came out, it just took over, over my career and everybody else's career, and that became the focus. That was my priority, obviously. But long story short, when the end of 18 came up, I started getting invited to go out and support and play my Viva La Rock album and some of the previous tracks from the previous albums. So to my surprise, I booked like, I think 25 shows, right? I got the green light from management saying, yeah, we're going to look for a new singer. Go ahead and do your thing. We'll keep you posted. We'll let you know when you need to stop and come back. And I said, great. So, yeah, I booked like 25 shows, and then we weren't finding the right singer. Let's just say we kept looking for the right singer. It wasn't happening. Things were not gelling. They were not happening. So February, March turned into April, May, and I started adding dates. He said, why don't you come over and play here? Come over. Da, da, da. Again, very generic. And I ended up doing like 120 shows in 19, to my surprise. So it was a big surprise to me. 20, I was set up to do some of the big festivals on the smaller stage, but some of the big festivals. And I was really proud that this was happening. We're still looking for a singer for the Dead Daisies. And then the news came that they were going to check out Glenn Hughes. And they still wanted me to play bass. And I said, I know Glenn. I love him to death. I'm a big fan, and we are friends. He's going to have to play bass and sing. And so, but don't let that stop you. You have to move forward. And I was having a great time with my project, to be honest. So that happened, and so it gave me the freedom to continue. So I dedicated more energy to my project, to Viva La Rock. We began the second album, which ended up being New Direction, in October of 19 to release a second album. And we know what happened in 20, everything fell apart. The domino effect, the labels got hurt, the shows got hurt, couldn't go out, couldn't tour, couldn't play live. So that kind of, it did a big dent on my momentum. But here I am, man. I can honestly say I was one of the first ones to go out at the end of 2021 out there. And it worked to my advantage because I was one of the few out there playing to half rooms with masks, sitting, 2-3 yards space in between them and the whole thing. Very trippy. But I got on the map, and that's what happened. So I've been doing that as much as I can. I've been really busy with other things. I did a big tour with Satch Vai, with Satriani and Vai last year.
That's huge. Good for you.
That was Europe, and then this year we just finished in the U.S. a few weeks ago. And but yeah, I started getting more offers. Come play this festival. Come play this. So I'm having a good time, bro. I'm having a good time. It's a different dynamic for me in that it's my music. It's very challenging at times, financially and emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. You get pounded, But I'm on a mission to play my music in front of as many fans as I can, and it's been the rewards is that people dig it, and that's it. For me, that's enough fuel to fire my, to spark my fire. I got a fire in my belly, if you know what I mean.
So you're in Germany right now, right? You're in Germany right now, and then off to Netherlands and Sweden.
Yes, I'm in Germany. We just did. Let's see. We did Poland.
Mm-hmm.
We did Croatia, Poland, and Czech Republic. Took a break. I did some session work, recorded on a few other albums that are cooking. I'm not at freedom to say what they are. Some good ones. And then we're starting in Germany tomorrow, and from here we go to Holland. From Holland we go to Sweden, to a bunch of dates there, and the rest. I mean, it's like there's a lot of work. It's going to be by the end of the year, it's going to be over 100 shows this year for my solo thing. So, for the listeners, please, I know the focus is iconic to get the album. I can't tell you enough about the album with giants like, Michael Sweet and Nathan James and Joe Hoekstra, Tommy Aldridge, and yours truly. The music is great. The songs are great. The albums, if you like rock and roll, strong rock and roll and songwriting and singing and playing, you must get Iconic 1 and 2. But also, if you have a minute, please listen to my stuff, Marco Mendoza Official. I would appreciate your feedback and you following me, and all the support is appreciated. And maybe I see you sometime soon. I'm coming to the U.S.
Exactly. You're U.S. with Vandenberg and Vinnie Moore. That's a pretty big run.
Yes.
Yes.
So for our listeners there in the U.S. or Canada, we'll be in your vicinity. So take the time to come and say hello. Please. It's going to be a great, great, great run. I'm excited, man. Very, very excited.
Now to switch gears, I want to ask you so bad because this person means tons to me, and I'm sure probably even means more to you. But can you talk a little bit about John Sykes and just what a monster and person that he is? Monster in a good way, I mean,
Yeah.
That was just shocking, I think, for everybody. And I was also, you don't need to jump ahead, but I was also curious if you knew how he was, like, if it was a shock to you or if you knew his state at that time.
We stayed in touch, and towards the end it became less and less. Unfortunately, I got really busy, and he wouldn't pick up the phone or whatever. He wouldn't reply to texts. He was not an email guy, but I would reach out. I had to, man. He was always in my heart. I got so close to that guy and his family, his kids, his ex-wife Jennifer. I was part of the whole thing. We did 7 or 8 albums, amazing. My relationship with him went beyond the music, and we were brothers, and he knew that I loved him. He knew that I loved him and I had all the respect in the world, and that I respected him as a guitar player, as a songwriter, singer. I mean, big, but he towards the end he got a little distant with everybody, and I fell into that category, I guess, unfortunately. But the year he told me about something going on, and he refused to tell me the word. I want to say a year and a half, 2 years before he passed. He said, finally said, Marco, yeah. I said, John, you can tell me, man. It's all right, It's the C word, Marco. And that's all he did. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to discuss it. And I understand that. I don't know what I would do if I was in his shoes, But so it was one of those things. I had to respect that. And obviously you want to check in on him and the whole thing. And I would always try to, kind of like remind him of, why we played music. Remember when you were kids, he used to tell me the story about, he was in Mallorca. His parents had a little restaurant club down there, and he had a little acoustic guitar, and he got into it. So cool. And those memories are everlasting. That's where I get my energy to keep going. I always try to remind him of that, but I think he just got too hurt. He wasn't able to navigate the things that went on in the business that kind of affected him directly, and so that's what it was. He had a big weight on his shoulders, but every time, I mean, we could talk for hours, but let's just say people would get in touch with me to get in touch with him. For some reason, they knew the history, the connection, and I would always pass on this information. He got album offers, they wanted Tommy and me to be part of it a couple of times. Great offers, and he pulled the plug. He decided not to. But finally, October of when he passed in 2004. October of 4, we started bouncing back, talking more often, and I went on tour, and he gets in touch with me November, late November. He said, Marco, I'm going to start playing, man. I've got some songs I want you to play. And I'm going, yes, the light went on, bing. And so I try to stay in touch with him. All of 2, 3, 4 times I sent some texts, and I never got a reply. So the last one was, John, I'm coming home January 10th because I was out here spending Christmas with my family in Europe. January 10th, I'm ready to go in the studio, man. I've got nothing up until February. Please, let's go, let's do it. And nothing, nothing, nothing. And then I come home. I texted him from LAX. I was landing. I said, John, I'm home, man. Let me know. I'll get up there as soon as you give me the green light. I'm there. Nothing. And then a week before NAMM show, which would have been January 15th, 16th, 17th, I get a call from his son telling me that he passed. So that was it. That was my thing, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. I got choked, and I just started crying. My wife came in and said, "What's wrong?" I said, "John passed," and the rest. Yes, I did not expect it. I didn't realize how heavy, how sick he was, because he would downplay it. He didn't want to give it any energy. I get it. But so that's what happened, bro. I wish I could tell you more. And he's got some unreleased music out there that everybody's trying to get their hands on, and there's some funny stuff going on. But James called me. He says, Marco, my dad wanted you to know before we announced we go public that he really loved you and he missed you. And I started crying. And then it went out. It went public a few hours later or something like that. So that's all I can tell you, JJ. Unfortunately, I don't have any.
Can you share a special moment or something that comes to mind, like a great show, just or having a dinner or something with John, like something that you go like that was just a good moment with the.
I had so many, and every
Yeah.
time that's a hard one for me to answer. Every time
Okay.
I get
Yeah.
asked
Yeah.
it,
Fair.
but he's the reason we did Blue Murder. It was nothing but trouble tour, the second album on Geffen. It got pushed hard. It was huge in Japan. Not so big, yeah. Not so big in the US, but Japan. And we went there for the first time. And I really loved that he took me under his arms, man. He just, under his wings, he just took me under, and he would lift me. Marco, you're an amazing, you have no idea. He just filled me up with positive energy. And I have to say, in this business, that just doesn't happen, man. Unfortunately, it's a doggy dog kind of energy, and if you like something, don't say anything about it because But he was really, we got really close and intimate, and he included me when the opportunity came with Udo in Japan, organizing the first tour to remember and pay tribute to Phil Lynott. He brought me in, man. He told the guys, he's my guy, but he'll play this stuff. And so I came and did the audition, and I got it. And so I'm forever going to be grateful for that, because it really, did a lot for my career. Not only playing with him, but the Thin Lizzy thing. And then shortly after, I got the call from Coverdale, which I know it was because I was in those circles. So John was a big reason why I got a lot of work. And so I'm always going to be appreciative of that. And a day doesn't go by. I go online and there he is, John. It's unfortunate that we couldn't give him the credit and the love that he that he deserved while he was around. It's just how it is, unfortunately. But forever. He's going to be a special guy in my life, undeniably so. And go listen to the music. There's 7 or 8 albums I've lost track. All of them are very special. It's John. Loveland is amazing, man. We got some live ones too. The last one that we did in Japan, you know, I'm sorry.
I'm dropping stuff. Got some stuff here.
Yeah, Bad Boys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
You
last
got them all, brother. Awesome,
one.
JJ.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
yeah, there you go.
yeah,
One Night Only.
yeah.
No, no, Bad
Oh,
Boys. Yeah.
one night. Oh, the one night only is. Where's that? That's around. Let's grab that. There we go. Yeah.
Great stuff, man. A unique player with a unique tone, with a unique ability. He would just touch you, man, with his playing and his singing. And everybody knows that, you
Now,
know.
we'll switch gears again because you mentioned David Coverdale. If you can briefly talk about your time with David, because that live in the Still of the Night DVD live thing, I can watch that on repeat because that's just such a moment. How special was that time?
Well, definitely, you know, for me, no denying it was a highlight in my career. And I'm forever grateful to David to include me in his journey and to be part of the Whitesnake thing. Um, Memorable stuff, man. It was beautiful. I started working with him. We go up to Tahoe and set up a studio, and we started working with him, writing and arranging for Into the Light album, which ended up being Into the Light. And everything was great. We had a great vibe. He very extremely creative, extremely talented cat. There's no singers. There's no other singer like David Coverdale. We know that. And so I would get chills, man, just working with him when you go into the vocal booth, and I have some of those cassettes. What am I going to do with all that? I know. And you know, just raw energy and without all the mixing and all the bells and whistles and arranging and layers and all that, it was just amazing stuff, man. Great songs, Into the Light. I don't know if you have that one, but
Other
that
room.
was that was the beginning of my relationship with him, and I had a blast. We just had a blast doing that. We did it in a few months, and then he said, you're my bass player. We're gonna go out Whitesnake, and you're my bass player. And I said, yes, I'd love to. And 2 weeks before we were supposed to go out, something like that, short, my father called me and told me he had terminal cancer, and I was going to find it hard to not want to be with him. So I called David, and he was extremely cool to say, "You're doing the right thing. Let's find somebody to take your place, but remember, you're always my bass player. You're my cat." So that moments like that, come on, that's what I hold on to. And then all the other stuff happens, the bad stuff, the good, the he said, they said, da, 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 da. But those moments are personal and unique, and you hold on to that. I try to hold on to as much positive energy as possible. So I had some beautiful times with David. We would have these beautiful dinners in his home, with his wife Cindy and my girl. I was dating my girl, who's my wife now. She'd come up. We have a blast. I go skiing because we were in Tahoe. I go skiing in the morning and do a couple of runs, man, and then come back into the studio and work. It was just great. Everything about it was cool. Danny Carmassi on drums, Earl Slick, amazing. It was a great album. That one is got some amazing songs in there too.
And can you also talk a little bit about? Sorry, finish your thought.
No, what I was going to say, in retrospect, you make me think about all these things. I've been very lucky, very fortunate to be part of all these beautiful projects, man. Beautiful songs with amazing artists and singers and players and songwriters. I'm like, wow, what a career. I've been blessed. What a privilege it is.
Well, how about? So I was going to bring up Neal Schon, like doing the
Uh,
journey through time. Like how was that? That was incredible. And might we see some of that when this journey farewell wraps up? Like, is that something you and Neal have been talking about?
this is something Neil is the boss, no doubt. He calls the shots, and again, I was very lucky to get called in. I met him through a friend of mine, Aaron Dilks, who's rest in peace too. I met him in Frankfurt actually before. We were both working with Fernandez. He was working on the sustainer and I was doing the basses, and we met briefly and all that. So he knew about me. I knew, of course, he knew who Neal Schon is. But a few years forward, he was putting a band together, and he had, Deen Castronovo on drums, and he had Jeff Scazzotto on vocals. He was looking for a bass player. And my friend Aaron Dilks suggested, yeah, Soul Circus. You going there? Yeah. Look at that. You're cool, man. You do your homework. You got to do more interviews.
Thank you.
Excuse me. But he said, I remember we were in the Hilton bar downstairs, if you're familiar with NAMM show, and we met. Said, yeah. Aaron said, Neal, this is your guy. This is your guy. You need, he sings, he plays, fretless, vibe, da da da. He did the whole thing, the whole cell thing. And he said, Marco, well, do you have anything recorded or anything live that you're doing? And I said, well, I'm going to be on stage in 15 minutes with Sheila E. and Seta and all these artists on stage playing some stuff. And, oh, cool. So he came in, gave me my number, he gave me his. And as soon as I got off stage, he called me and says, bro, you're in. Can you come up and, and start writing with us and all that? And that was it. Soul Circus. Again, very generic, very, as a matter of fact kind of thing. Hey, you want to have lunch? Hey, you want to come up and record and write some stuff? That's how it happens, So again, very fortunate to be at the right time, at the right place with the right cats, And we had a blast with that project. A blast. It was amazing. Again, it's sad that it didn't move forward for whatever the reason. But so yeah. What I was getting at is that my connection with him got really deep also, like a brother, to be honest. And we stayed in touch, and I love that guy, all the respect, and he deserves it all, man. He's a powerful cat, spiritually, emotionally, and he's the boss, man. He handles everything the way it should be handled. A lot of people don't agree, but people don't live in this industry. They don't work in the industry. They don't understand what needs to happen. I do, and for that, I give him a lot of love and respect. But so we connected in a very personal way, other than music and all that. We stayed in touch, and then he called me a few years later and says, we're doing this benefit to raise funds for the fire, that went up here in California, Northern California. We had a lot of families lose their homes, and so we're trying to raise funds, and we'd love for if you want to participate, if you want to be part of this. I said, yeah, of course. So we went up there, and I met Greg Raleigh for the first time, which is another eventful thing for me, and being such a fan of the Santana sound, the B3, and Neal, and the whole thing, and so we did that show. And it was being recorded and videotaped and all that. We had no idea that it was going to be released, but it ended up being released. But shortly after, fast forward, another year and a half, 2 years maybe, I get the call. I was in Copenhagen finishing up my what ended up being New Direction album. Said, Marco, where are you? I'm Copenhagen, man. I'm recording. I'm finishing a track here. Oh no, man! How long are you gonna be gone? I'm coming home in a few days. Oh really? Yeah. Call me, please. Call me when you get home. And I called him before I went to the airport, and he says, "We can't, we can't find our bass player, man. He's gone. Randy Jackson. He's gone lost. We don't. There's no emails, no phones." No text, nothing, and we have rehearsals starting in a few weeks, and we have some big shows, and can you help us out? I said, absolutely, man, are you kidding me? Yes. So I moved a few things around, and so I got to play with Journey, too, and that was something that came out of nowhere. I had a great time. I had a lot of prior commitments that I always try not to renege on, no matter what the opportunities are. and I think that was a bit of an issue. And I don't know, they were looking for somebody, I don't know what it was, but I was, in reality, I was in there filling in for Randy. Randy was going to come back. And so I was cool to be there for a minute. And so we talk, man. Neal and I talk all the time. I think he's going to finish this thing and see where he's going to go next. And would I like it to be something I'm involved with? Yes, absolutely. Is it going to happen? I don't know. But I think the Journey Through Time thing is a very strong one, man. We did a handful of shows that just sold out like that. And the fact that Greg is there and playing that catalog from those first three albums and then going into the Santana thing, celebrating that, their years with Santana, it's just it's musical history, you know. So yeah, I managed to be part of that. Well, my battery's running out, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, we'll get moving. Yeah.
Yeah. So a great interview. What can I say?
Yeah, I appreciate your time and insight, and backstories are awesome. But I want to make sure that people know where they can get Marco Mendoza solo material. Where can we send people to buy your stuff?
In all the platforms, but go to Marco Mendoza Official. It'll guide you. There's videos. There's all kinds of stuff. And please, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Follow me, support me, and I'll meet you at one of the shows. I always stay after. I always meet and greet and hug you and sign things and take pictures. So come over and say hello.
And once again, the brand new iconic album is out on July the 31st on Frontiers Music. Album number 2, called 2. You can find links at the end of this interview on where you can purchase it. And once again, thanks to Marco Mendoza for joining us on Different Staging Radio.
We'll see you soon, brother. Peace.